According to police brutality stats, 23% of officers say they have either witnessed or been part of an incident occurring where they've used excessive force to someone due to their race. Another 43% have said they have witnessed or been a part of an incident where police have used excessive force to get the job done when doing the right thing isn't always the most effective way to deal with the citizen. With the Valley being predominantly a minority group, citizens need to be educated and aware of how to deal with certain things like police brutality on the streets. It is time for us to take a stand to stop police brutality before it becomes even more of an epidemic because people are being treated wrongly and being hurt and killed on the streets. As an African American, I can attest to this because people in my own culture group seem to be taken out every single day. I turn on the news, I read the articles, and I watch the videos of police harming my people, putting them on the ground and shooting them and killing them or hurting them, and it needs to stop. I also was wrongly targeted a while back when police thought I had a stolen car and pulled me out of my car, made me put my hands behind my back, and questioned me like I was doing something wrong. It seems that every day that we see, it seems like every day we turn on the TV, we see something that constitutes with police violence. We see people being hurt, we see people killed, and we see loved ones being taken away because police choose to use violence instead of using the right way and the right tactics they were taught to detain a citizen. It is time for us to stand up and end this terror before our loved ones are targeted next and they're taken out. Now, the first issue I want to touch on is that the minority group seems to be taken out the fastest and the most effectively. Coming from a report coming from Chicago states that Blacks and Latinos are involved in over 92% of cases in which Chicago Police Department used stun guns to detain a citizen. Now, among all these complaints of excessive force, illegal searches, racial abuse, or false arrest, only 124, or an astonishing 1.2% of these officers were sustained, and only 19 cases where police brutality, excessive force, illegal searches were only 19 cases led to a penalty. Though Chicago's population is only about 33% African American, of these 33% African Americans, the city's arrest rate is an astonishing 77% of young Black youth. Now, this is just one incident, and this is just one case in which a city is targeting our minority groups to take them out. Now, although we may think the Valley isn't going through the same issues as the rest of Americans, we are very wrong, and we're living in a box because reports have been reported if we just pay attention to the news and the newspapers. Now, Valley may be one of the safest places in America, but there have been a few incidents in which police have used police brutality to get their way or to teach other people of the police academy to do the wrong things when dealing with citizens. Roberto Burka filed a police brutality report in a federal court in McAllen. The lawsuit accused the city of Progreso, Police Chief David Hernandez, Sergeant Alberto Rodriguez, Officer Dennis Sarmiento, and a municipal judge, Alfredo Espinoza, with numerous civil rights, police brutality, and excessive force during a traffic stop in which he was stopped, drugged out of his car, beat, and then arrested and taken to jail. Now, another incident was reported in which police officers were teaching young police academy officers how to do the wrong things when dealing with a citizen. These police officers were teaching them how to slap citizens, how to pull them out of the car, how to be dominant, how to use your voice tone to create that dominance, and how to use violence to get what you want out of that citizen. It is very evident that the issue is becoming an outrage and it needs to be handled properly and it needs to be handled effectively. We as people need to do more to stop this. One thing we could do is use social media. Now, social media is one of the biggest outlets in the world today. Social media is the best and most effective way to get your message out there quickly. Things as videos, statuses, or articles are the best way to spread quick ideas, thoughts, and things that are going on in the world throughout the world. I even saw a video on Facebook where a girlfriend was recording a police stop in which her boyfriend was reaching for his license, and the officer shot him in the chest. And she was recording. It was a 7-minute recording posted on Facebook in which it showed how the officer shot him. It showed that the boyfriend was actually reaching for his license, which he had in his hand, and it ended up being a big epidemic around the world, causing a whole bunch of outrage from a whole different type of people and a whole different type of community. Also, things as outreach meetings and peaceful protests. Right now in Los Angeles, the biggest two rival gangs, the Bloods and the Crips, have come together to create one group to take a stand against police violence going on in LA. Now, the Bloods are headed by The Game, which is a famous rapper who has been notorious for being a Blood and anti-Crip, and the Crip is headed by Snoop Dogg, who is also a famous rapper and has been in a few movies. Now, they've come together to create a bond and a peaceful treaty to be able to stop the violence against these minority groups. In closing, police brutality has become such a big epidemic that it needs to be handled. It needs to be handled properly. Every day we see someone getting killed, or we see someone's loved ones taken off the earth because the police have seemed to be doing something that is not right and is not correct by the people. I propose that we continue to use the resources that are free. We can use our social media. As I said, social media is one of the biggest outlets in the whole entire world because it not only goes domestically, but it can be seen by people internationally. I propose that we continue to have outreach meetings in which the community comes together and we talk about the issues not only going on locally, but going on throughout the country, because again, our country is big and it not only affects our part of it, but it affects the whole country, and it can trickle down to the Rio Grande Valley. And I propose that we do peaceful protests in which everyone comes together and we protest and we make people sign petitions and we make people come together and unite to be able to stop this issue. The value of life isn't what we can do for ourselves. The value of life is how we impact others and what we can do for others.